All right, as most of us know, there are some things that are a lot better to buy when they're used. Used cars, for example, you buy that used car and the person who owned it before you is usually taking that hit on the depreciation. Maybe something like baseball gloves or other sporting equipment, like golf clubs. You think about how long it takes to break in a baseball glove or some other gear like that, or someone picks up golf and then they decide, I don't really want to do this anymore. You might be able to pick up a good deal on a secondhand item or some used golf clubs or something like that. Maybe used tools. As long as they're in decent shape, you might be able to get a pretty good deal on some used tools. There's also some things that we all know you should never buy used. That would be used underwear. Well, I think that goes without saying. Used toothbrushes. I mean, if any of you out there have bought a used toothbrush, I'm sorry, that's just weird. And how about used dental floss? You ever tried that one? Yeah, I didn't think so. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Gibson and my channel is all about North Georgia real estate, not used dental floss. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and of course reach out if you're thinking about moving to the area or if you are considering listing your home. Yeah, so in this video, we're gonna talk about some of the pros and cons of buying new construction versus buying a resale home. So let's jump right into some of the pros of buying new construction. This one's pretty obvious, but first and foremost, everything's new. You got a new roof, you got new siding, you got new flooring, new everything, right? So that is a fantastic reason to buy a new construction house. Another thing to think about is that whenever you buy a new construction house, typically your homeowner's insurance policy is going to be a lot cheaper because all of your systems are brand new. Other thing to think about is that there is a warranty for everything on your new home for the most part. There's usually some sort of structural warranty for the construction of the home from the builder. You also have warranties for all of your appliances and your systems, like your HVAC system. So that is a big pro for buying that new construction. This next one depends a lot on market dynamics and if it's a major seller's market or a buyer's market. Over the past few years, whenever I've helped buyers buy homes in new construction neighborhoods, there's almost always some sort of incentive from the builder. Whether it's a closing cost contribution, sometimes they'll throw in a washer or dryer, sometimes they'll throw in maybe a garage door opener if it's not standard, or window blinds. So watch out for those if you're shopping for new construction. Sometimes those change. Another thing to think about is, especially if it's a new neighborhood, the amenities are newer and nicer. Obviously, because everything's brand new, you got a new pool, new gym if your neighborhood has a gym. What I found in recent years, maybe not including COVID, usually the advertised price from the builder, if you're not gonna be doing any upgrades, you're just taking their standard finishes, is that the price is the price. If you're buying a pre-sale, a lot of times that house, whatever the advertised price is, typically is gonna be what you pay. Sometimes builders are willing to negotiate whenever a house has been sitting. They call those inventory homes. So let's say the house is completed, and nobody has bought the house yet, and it's been sitting for a while. Those are houses that builders are willing to negotiate sometimes. Let's talk about some of the cons of buying a new construction home in North Georgia. Most people that are thinking about moving to North Georgia are thinking about maybe having a little bit more space. Maybe they're coming from a congested neighborhood or a neighborhood with small lots. What I've seen recently is that a lot of the tract-built neighborhoods that are springing up in parts of North Georgia, the lots are really small. So you're looking at maybe a quarter-acre lot or sometimes even less. So just keep that in mind. You're probably going to get a smaller lot if you are buying a new construction home in North Georgia. And this one might surprise some of you, but just because a house is new construction does not mean that the construction is of high quality. Have you ever driven past a neighborhood that looks like it's under construction and then you drive past it the next day and it looks like 5 brand new houses just came out of the ground? Well, usually these bigger neighborhoods with a ton of houses are being built really quickly. And if the emphasis is on constructing the homes as quickly as possible, then sometimes the quality can suffer. So if you are buying a new construction home, make sure you are hiring an independent inspector to take a look at the house, because I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff pop up on new construction homes that you wouldn't expect. This may be a personal preference thing, but if you are buying a house in a new construction neighborhood, it looks like the land has been completely clear cut, there's no trees left, and you've got an endless sea of identical looking houses. Maybe there's like 4 floor plans. So, every 4th house looks just about exactly the same. Builders do tend to do a good job of mixing up the elevations so that even if it's the same floor plan, it doesn't look exactly identical to the house right down the street, but you start to pick up on what the houses look like, and just looks like cookie cutter, I guess is what people will call it. Another thing to think about in new construction is that if you don't buy early in the neighborhood, the builders increase the prices as they continue construction in the neighborhood. So if you're buying in that first phase and you're one of the first few homeowners to buy in that neighborhood, you're typically going to get a lot cheaper price than if you're buying in the second or third phase, in the next year or two, and those prices for that same house is probably going to be a good bit more expensive. All right, so now that we've covered new construction, let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of buying a resale. First, I would say a lot of these houses, of course, are going to be in established neighborhoods, or maybe you're buying a house that's sort of been built on its own. Maybe it's a custom build or something like that. Some of the neighborhoods in North Georgia that are a little bit older, they tend to have larger lot sizes. So if you're not tied to a particular neighborhood in North Georgia, you'll have obviously a lot more options to choose from in terms of the style of house and maybe the size of house, or maybe even the lot size, especially when you compare that to a new construction neighborhood. If you're looking specifically in one neighborhood, you're only going to have a couple options there. Another thing to think about in terms of negotiations is if you are buying a resale and maybe the house is overpriced a little bit, you're dealing with a homeowner and you're not dealing with a large corporation. So sometimes you can negotiate with those sellers a little easier than you can with some of those larger, big national builders. So sometimes it may be a little easier to negotiate with those individual sellers than it would be if you're negotiating with a large builder. All right, so some of the cons of buying a resale are probably a little bit obvious. First and foremost, I would say the possibility of deferred maintenance. That could definitely be a con, especially if, let's say, the roof is damaged. That's a major expense. If the HVAC systems in the house have not been maintained, or if they're in need of replacement or repair. Maybe the appliances are old, or maybe they're on their last leg. If the water heater is out of date, getting close to that 15 to 20 year age range, then that will need to be replaced soon as well. Another thing to think about is, paint colors can be changed very easily, but you don't get to pick the finishes in the house like you would potentially with a new construction home, where if you walk into a showroom, you may have your choice of 2 or 3 different countertops. You may have a couple different options for paint colors. Maybe got a couple different options for siding colors or paint colors on the exterior of the home. Where if you are buying a resale, obviously whatever's in the house is what you're going to get. And if you want to make those changes, then you're going to have to spring for those changes typically. If you want different flooring, if you want different countertops in the kitchen or whatever. So that could add to your bill later after you purchase the home. All right, so that is my comparison of purchasing a new construction home versus a resale. There's obviously a lot more that goes into comparing and contrasting the two. Obviously, if you need help, please reach out. My contact info is on the screen. Tell me what you thought about the video. Tell me some of the things that you like or don't like about new construction versus resales. We'll see you on the next video.